All right, guys. We are finally at the last step for the API security, where we check the broken authentications for API. So, guys, follow me as we dive into it. And please, if you find this practical section, this API Postman practical section impactful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Follow me for more tips. Thank you so much, guys.
Especially two FAs and no capture, right? But I'll just be demonstrating only one for now, which is the no authentication. Now, what do I mean by broken authentication? Quickly, let's go back to my stuff. So this is my test for the second one, broken authentication. Now, just imagine Juliet logged in. She's a registered user. We have another user called Juliet. She's a registered user. She has already signed up on our application. We developed something newly, and then she has signed up, first-time user. She's 25 years. She's single. This is her first name. This is her passport number. She's from Nigeria. Everything is already there through the backend. And when immediately she registered, the system gave her like an ID and then an ID, and then also gave her a source account ID. Okay, so this is Juliet's, all her stuff from the API. Now let's log in as Juliet quickly. This is Juliet's details. Let me double check her password. Her password is Juliet secure Bob 123. So let's log in as Juliet quickly. So I'm trying to demonstrate, just to recap, I'm trying to demonstrate broken authentication to us. And what I want to demonstrate right now is no authentication steps. So while we wait for this to run, so let me quickly prepare my test data for this one. So I'm going to be searching with Juliet's email. So this is a particular endpoint. I can search with her email. There's nobody. I'm not passing anybody here. I want to just get her details with the get endpoint, basically. So let's quickly, okay, this one is still running. I'll just hold on for a while. But so I'll be searching with her email. I'll try and search with another person's email as well, just to see what will happen. Okay, cool, it's back. So now we've already signed up. This is her, this is her login credentials. And now we have our access token for Juliet. Okay, let me copy it. And so here now. So this is Juliet. She wants to see her details. Ideally, she would log in, right? She can't log in with any other thing. She would log in to see her credential. So I've passed her login access token, which is fine. And then I'm searching with her Juliet Bob at example. Let me double check her email again, just to be sure that I copied the right email. This is her email, julietbobexample.com. And then this is, I've already passed her email. Cool, everything is fine. Now, this is good. I'm trying to see Juliet's data. Oh, Juliet she has been able to fetch her data successfully. So she can see everything. She's single, all the things that she passed when she was registering on the portal, she can see them here. But do you know that this will be a blunder, like a serious issue, if Juliet can also access her data without passing her token? Because I just did it now. I wiped off everything. I ran this and it worked. Ideally, this shouldn't, it would have triggered, the system would have triggered and say, hey, Juliet, you've not signed up, or you've not been authenticated. Something to know that this is wrong. You don't have access to this. But as you can see, sometimes our APIs might be like this. On the front end, most times it's impossible to do all of these scenarios. But broken authentication it's actually making companies lose millions of naira, millions of dollars, account takeover, and the rest. Okay. Now, this guy is Bob. Same thing. I'm searching. I've already created Bob on Bob before now. Same thing. I can search Bob without passing anything. and the system will give me Bob's details. I'd created Bob before now, and now I can see Bob is 23 years old and everything. He's even an administrator, that's his role and everything. So that means if your system is porous like this, anybody can just come on your system and do wonders. And you might be wondering, did this thing actually happen? Yes, it happened. It happened. Duolingo experienced this particular issue, and it actually exposed 2.6 million records of their users and all, and they had to, you know, put up a statement. So what happened to Duolingo was users, they realized that they don't even need to be authenticated. They can pass in anybody's email at the top here on the UI, and then it will fetch the data of that person. So I can literally just pass my neighbor's email if the person is a Duolingo user, and then all the information of that person will be there. Because I don't need to log in as my neighbor, I don't need to log in as my friend, or log in as my brother or sister, and I can just pass in. Ideally, I'm supposed to be logged in as the rightful owner before I can have access to this. Lastly, the third one would be broken object property level authorization. There's a lot, too much grammar, but this one speaks to two areas. It speaks to one, excessive data exposure and mass assignment. Now, when we are testing our APIs, we need to double check, and please pay attention to this. It's very important. Double check to see if your APIs are exposing too much information. Because sometimes the developers might give you these endpoints and then you test it and everything is fine. But please double check to ensure that the endpoint is not exposing too much information. Like this first one now, as you can see, I'm trying to run a get response, and then it's giving my details, but it's giving me the details of my administrator, not the name, but it's giving me the ID of the administrator, giving me the email and even the privilege. So I can use this thing to harm the system. That's what we call mass assignment, meaning I can have the ability to update object elements. Sometimes these things can happen because of the too much information that has been revealed to me, right? So this second tab here, you can see now that this guy, the system exposed a lot of details, and then he used it to harm the system. He now came here and tried to run a patch to update his profile to administrator, and it worked. That's what I'll be demonstrating last, and then we'll call it a day. So I really want to demonstrate so everybody can get to see that these things are happening. Now, this is Juliet, and Juliet's details, blah, blah, blah. Let's log in as Juliet again. And so this is Juliet. I've already logged in as Juliet. Imagine there's an endpoint that Juliet needs to run that would give her her details, right? Let's try it. I want to pass her token quickly. I've passed Juliet's token right now. Now, this is the user ID of Juliet. How did I get her user ID? Remember, I created her account here, right? When she did all the stuff, I created her account here where I passed in on her data, and then the system gave me her user ID. So this user ID is actually valid. EB4, and I came here and let me double check EB4. So everything is fine. So this is Juliet. I've logged into this our token. And so let's assume this is Juliet, and there's an endpoint that gives Juliet, tries to give Juliet her details. She wants to see something in her account, for example. Can you see the response? You can see that the system is giving me Juliet's details, blah, 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 blah. And then he's giving me her admin profile, like the person that is managing her account. I'm not saying you can't give a bit of information, but be careful. Why are you exposing the user ID of the administrator? Why are you giving us the privilege and telling us that the privilege is administrator? You're giving too much information, because somebody can use this and elevate their profile. You understand? That's too much stuff. And remember, I said, let's just assume Juliet she's a hacker, and she doesn't really mean well for the system. She can come here, update this system, like click on this, run a patch, pass her her user ID, right? Let me go back to her token and recopy it. Copy her token, right? Come here, pass it here. Okay? She can actually, because of the information that she has here, you've given her too much information already here. So she can literally copy this administrator. Say, oh, I'm a user. Let me see if I can change my profile and upgrade myself. She can literally come here, change it to administrator, run it. Ha! It worked. That means she has updated her account. Let's go back and run her get and just see how far. You see, it has changed to administrator. That's how people they won't pay money to upgrade their account, and they will be moving from freemium to paid users because of a glitch or because of one thing that happened or because the tech team didn't really put an eye or they didn't really do a thorough job. What I just explained to you happened to Bumble. So Bumble, it's like a dating site where people, you can sign up for free, and try to and be linked up with somebody, like a match. So what happened was something happened where over time you can move from a freemium to a paid user. There was a particular endpoint that was vulnerable, and people were now moving their account from freemium to paid user, account, and the system didn't detect it. Over 100 million users were actually used that stuff to upgrade their stuff. And Venmo also experienced that issue of the fact that they were exposing too much information. Somebody wrote here, I used Venmo public API to pull in. Let's look at this. I used Venmo's public API to pull in all public transactions in 2017. A total of these transactions came out. Somebody wanted to see all public, and then when he tried it, he saw a lot. So I can keep, sharing statistics and stories, but please just know that your APIs are not safe. They can always look at it. Let's try and do a thorough job. I'll be closing out with just these top 10 best practices. I'm sure right now, most of us must have been thinking, are my APIs safe? That deployment that I signed up for, that test report that I shared, I hope I did a thorough job. So please, like I said, top 3 are like the major, right? So let's try and go back and see how we can do a better job and come up with more scenarios so we can get more edge cases to check our endpoints. So 10 best practices: define your API processes. Some companies don't have defined processes. They just wake up, develop. They can bring in a backend developer today. He will develop one stuff. He will leave in the next few months. Another person will come and do the same endpoint again. They can't even account for the number of endpoints that they have. So please know your processes. Get security and development team talking. They need to talk from time to time. Nobody should work in isolation, and make documentation mandatory. I've had to look at some Swagger documents, and they are really, 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 they can't, they're not giving information. They're not giving me what I need. Everybody's just doing shabby stuff, and they're writing rubbish stuff, right? So let's try and have a standard. It's ideal for a company to have a standard, and let's say that, and go by those standards, right? Train your API developers and your owners. Have a centralized API management, system. Don't trust anything. Don't assume, because if your company if they are consuming third-party endpoints, don't assume that it's fine, 100% safe. Make sure you also do thorough testing on them. Ask them for their documentation, double check, do your thorough checks on your end, and also certify it internally, because sometimes these issues might also come in from a third-party system into your system. Number 8 says, don't rely on UIs for security. Yes, I'm not saying we shouldn't really look at the UIs and try to put validations on them. It's fine, but don't rely on them. Don't just push all the security stuff to the UI. Make sure that the backend, the APIs are thoroughly tested for security, not just functionality. And remember, number 9 says authentication is not authorization. Just because somebody has been authenticated successfully doesn't mean the person is authorized to perform certain actions. So you need to check all of these edges and ensure that they are properly catered for. And then automate pre-prod. Most times, doing all of these things over and over again can be tiring. So we need to learn to automate them, bring up all those scenarios. So if you know Postman, I'm sure most of the things I've demonstrated today, you can actually automate them and just put them there and know that, okay, I've covered Bola, I've covered the broken authentication, I've covered this and this, and you keep growing, your collections. So if you want to learn more, we have a lot of tools, places where you can learn. But if you want, this is where I learn, and my go-to place. So you can come and join over 100,000 students that are currently learning and building their skills in API security. So you can come here. The courses are free. They are top-notch, good quality. So you can come sign up for free and then start learning the basics, and it can help you open your eyes to a lot of things about API security. So I will be ending my talk now. Thank you very, very much. I was trying as much as I can just to beat time. So thank you very, very much. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you guys. Well, thank you. So I'll be waiting for your questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kingsley. I don't know. I'm still, my breath is still I am still trying to cut my breath. Mm-mm.
So now, are your APIs really safe?
They are not.
That's the question.
They are not. I can't just imagine like a company that has like an army of people without security testers, and everything solely lies on the QA department, and the QA person have no knowledge of that this is very possible, that apart from doing your front end testing, checking of functionalities, people can just leave that to you and say continue sleep there while we go into, let's just come in as a normal user. Let's see what you have behind this. The waiter that sends food carries food from the kitchen and serves you. Let's go and ask the waiter to give us something else that is not on the menu, and you pay for it. This is actually very insightful. Can we please just say, with show of reaction, let's just say thank you to Kingsley once again. Now that I say our APIs are not safe, I have questions. I have questions. You actually mentioned that, I don't know. Let me go first. Why we can take other reactions on the comments from the participants. You said that as a tester, you can actually just do justice by having good knowledge of these phases, the possible scenarios that could happen when people are exposed to your API. The question now is it mandatory as a QA person, let's say a software tester, let me go deep, or should we just leave it to that? We can just advise the business to say, this, from what I learned, this is possible, and I don't think it's not within my scope. Let's just sublet this to a team to handle this stuff. Or do you just have to just do it because you are part of you're part of quality assurance?
Yes, I feel there are some that you can do on your end, like those basic checks. They've already given you your Swagger document, and whatever you want to do, you can write your test. Nobody would say, come and you must do this scenario or capture that scenario. So there are certain things that you can do on your end, right? But now there are other things that might be tied to culture in terms of the company's culture. Like that scenario where I said a developer might come in today, because I've been in that space before, where he would develop this particular backend API just because, why? Because the previous guy that was there developed something that I maybe didn't really understand the code. He's like, no, I'm not using that one, I'm using this one. So there's very, very bad culture. So some of them might be on your end. So you try and control the ones you can. But I feel like this top 3 that I've highlighted, something we can do. It's a good place to start from. Check all those basic stuff. Then the ones that you can, that's beyond your control, then you can start advocating, sharing, the good news and say, hey guys, let's look out for this. This might happen.